There was once a young woman named Aria. She lived in a small town, surrounded by people who always seemed better than her. At least, that's what she believed. When she looked in the mirror every morning, she didn't see someone worthy or talented. She only saw flaws, she only noticed the things she couldn't do. And every day she whispered to herself, "I'm not enough, everyone else is better." Aria worked in a small bookstore. She loved stories, but she didn't believe her own story had any value. Whenever a customer praised her kindness or thanked her for help, she would smile, but inside she would think, they don't really mean it. I'm nothing special. One rainy evening, an old man entered the shop. His clothes were simple, his hair was grey, and he walked slowly with a wooden stick. Aria greeted him with her usual soft smile. The man looked around the shop and finally said, "I'm looking for a book that can fix a broken heart." Aria paused. She felt something inside her shift. She asked, "Sir, what kind of broken heart?" The old man smiled gently and said, "A heart that forgot its own worth." His words hit Aria deeply. She didn't reply. She simply walked to a shelf and handed him a small book about hope and healing. The old man held the book, nodded. But then he looked directly at her and said, "You know, people often come looking for answers outside when the real answer is already inside them." Aria pretended she didn't understand. She just gave him the bill and wished him a good night. But long after he left, his words stayed in her mind like a soft echo. The next day, to her surprise, the old man came again. This time he wasn't looking for a book. He simply said, "Come, sit with me for a moment." Aria hesitated but finally agreed. The old man showed her a small clay pot. It was cracked in 3 places and looked old and imperfect. He placed it on the table and said, "Aria, what do you see?" She frowned and said, "An old, broken pot." The old man smiled. "Exactly, it's broken, but now let me show you something." He lit a small candle and placed it inside the pot. As the flame glowed, beautiful rays of light escaped through the cracks, dancing across the walls like golden threads. Aria looked at it in surprise. The old man asked, "Now what do you see?" Aria whispered, "Beauty, light, something special." The old man nodded. If the pot were perfect, the light would never escape. The cracks let the light shine, the imperfections make it beautiful. Aria felt her eyes sting with tears. The old man continued softly, "My child, people are the same. We all have cracks, flaws, mistakes, fears, but that doesn't make us worthless. Our imperfections don't make us weak, they make us human. And sometimes the parts we hate the most are the very parts that allow our light to reach the world." Aria stayed silent. She didn't know what to say. For the first time, someone had shown her that being imperfect wasn't a curse. It was a form of beauty. The old man stood up to leave, but before going, he said, "Remember this. Nobody is perfect, but everyone is worthy." Days went by, but Aria couldn't forget that moment. She started looking at herself differently. She still noticed her flaws, but she also started noticing her strengths. The way she listened with patience, the way she made people feel safe, the way she cared deeply even when she didn't believe she mattered. One afternoon, a little girl came into the store crying. She had broken her drawing book and thought her mother would be angry. Aria knelt beside her, wiped her tears and said, "It's okay to make mistakes, it doesn't make you bad. It just makes you human." The girl smiled. And for the first time, Aria realized she was passing the same light that she had been given. One evening, Aria saw her reflection again in the bookstore window. But this time, she whispered something different. "I may not be perfect, but I am enough." Those words didn't change her life in a single moment, but they changed the way she treated herself. Slowly, she stopped comparing. Slowly, she forgave herself. Slowly, she started believing that she deserved love, respect, and happiness, not because she was perfect, but because she was human. Weeks later, the old man returned once more. Aria smiled at him warmly and said, "I understand now. He nodded proudly and said, "Good, because a person who sees beauty in their cracks becomes light for others." Aria thanked him, but the old man simply placed his hand on her shoulder and said, "Go shine, child. The world needs your light." And from that day on, Aria lived with a new truth in her heart that nobody is perfect, and that is exactly what makes each person precious. She stopped running from her imperfections and started embracing them. She became stronger, kinder, and more confident. Not because her flaws disappeared, but because she learned they were not something to be ashamed of. Her story reminds all of us of something simple yet powerful. You are not meant to be perfect. You are meant to be real. You are meant to grow. You are meant to shine through your cracks just like that little clay pot. So whenever you look at yourself and feel not good enough, remember Aria's words, "I may not be perfect, but I am enough, and you are enough too."